of Houston, highbrow. Like to listen past you. Speaking of Houston, highbrow. Fade a little on down, and her fade a little on down, and her head went round and round. Ooh, she thought I was okay, but he stepped off that train with a hi-hat, a piccolo, and a cane.
We're for real live. I am your host, Tom, or Robots, as usual, stuck here in the vault with my two best friends who I've been living in this vault with for months now. And I just realized, guys, I was thinking about this today. Yes. Oh, I should introduce you guys. Dave, Ken, how's it going?
Oh, hello. Hey.
Hi. I realized this today. I haven't contacted my family. Have you guys contacted family? We've been stuck in this vault for months. We've hacked into other people's communications about Fallout. We've done a bunch of things in here. We've had people hack into our system, but I haven't contacted they're probably wondering where I went.
I can't say that I have made any contacts to the outside world within my tenure.
Yeah.
Although we've tried.
Yeah.
I think we've tried.
Yeah. I mean, they probably think I'm dead, other than the fact that these podcasts go out regularly. So maybe we should use the podcast as a means of communication. We should be like, hi, wife and kids. I'm live.
Dear Martha, it was 80 since I've last seen you, my dear fair lady. The winters grow longer and the seasons grow brighter until I can see your face one day. Kind regards, Sir Daniel David. There you go.
That was good. Okay.
Does she not teach? Does she not make the torches bright like a Nuka-Cola Quantum at night? Fin.
Oh.
Awesome. So welcome back to the Fallout Hub. We are scholars and very good at quoting things, maybe? Or I'm just making them up on
Are
spot.
we, though?
I don't know which it is. Are we? But we are back this week with a news episode. We don't have an interview today, but we have a news episode. And we're going to be talking about some of the things going on with Fallout 76. And we're also going to dive into some tips for nuclear winter. We've got some 10 commandments. And of course, we've got a soapbox to do. So, Dave, you want to kick us off with some news?
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome. This is your Charleston Herald bringing you the news updates that you want to hear. Today, I have some challenge updates for you. Let's start off with that there are patch fixes for challenges that have been auto-completing. So apparently people have been logging in. The challenges auto-complete for them. And they have released a patch that fixes that. So no longer will you automatically get your gold star when they give out the test. You have to take the test and earn the gold star.
Now, wasn't it for some people it was like completing, but it didn't actually give them the points too? There was like a whole...
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, that's pretty messed up.
I think Juice had covered it in a video. It seemed like there was an issue at a certain time of night. So he recommended, just as a stopgap measure, people just not being online during that time. For when
you had an issue at a certain time of night. I just talked to
Don't go
Juice
out after 1 a.m.
Remember the rules to Gremlins? It's basically that.
Yes.
You don't want to feed Fallout 76 after dark. Don't get it wet. Okay. Definitely don't get it wet.
Don't feed Juicehead after dark. Got it.
Don't brush your teeth after Juicehead.
So wait.
Then
Does
the-
brushing your teeth count as feeding? Like, what if you swallow some of the toothpaste, like accidentally? Like, not. I don't just eat the toothpaste. That's not a thing I do. I'm just wondering if you were to like.
Hey, no king
Swat-
shaming.
I mean, if you're playing Outer Worlds, then maybe. That's a very deep cut. For the toothpaste. Different game, different time.
First
Different
cut
game,
is
different
the deepest.
Baby, I know.
Demonetized in 3, 2, 1.
2. Next piece of news I have for you are extra challenges that have been going on through June 20th. I got my dates mixed up, so that's kind of old news, but I love to talk about old news. That's like, give me a 1984 newspaper from like that Wednesday of April. And it's like,
we like to think
little
back to the good
Timmy.
old days of the yesterday.
Old news is
Little
the
Timmy
new
scored
news.
14 points at the local basketball game. The
Classic.
crowd was uproarious. But there are also a new piece of news. I wonder how that goes together. There are
news.
2 additional daily challenges that they are adding onto the entire season. So I forgot how many there were before. Maybe it was like 7 daily challenges, and you can complete
Something like
5 of them. And then if you got 5, it's kind of like loyalty
5?
rewards at like the donut counter, where it's like you get 5 donuts, your 6th one is free, kind of situation.
Yeah, plus the nuclear winter one, wasn't there? There's like a 5, the extra one, nuclear winter one. That sounds right. 7.
Yeah. Let's do some math. Let's cosine and tangent. So there's 2 additional daily challenges that will run through the end of the season. I think that's good because there's, I think, a really concern this season on whether or not that's attainable for a casual player that plays 76 as they come and go, like keeps with the game, but
Not every
logs
day.
on for here and there.
A casual
It's not like an everyday
situation,
player.
if you will.
Some may call it
Mm.
a casual situation. We have to stand up for our casual situationers out there. In fact, I would like to deem our small fan base as the casual situationers.
I like to call them the cashies myself, and they respond. They respond pretty well to that online.
That's
Yo,
good.
yo, yo.
That's good.
You know,
Yeah.
in fact, I take it one step further and I call them my cashies. So my
My
cashies out there. You know who I'm talking about. You know who I'm talking about. My cashies. That's right. That's right. My cashies.
My cashy and me.
So I'm glad that they're adding more on. I'm curious if they're gonna add anything else, like as far as weekly challenges, or whether they're gonna adjust those numbers and the little metric slab that they have down there. But speaking of ranking up through that, it is currently live now that you can use your atoms to rank up those challenges. So they were kind of indeterminate about when that would turn on, and that just turned on. They were like, all right, today, I think it was on Thursday of last week. They were like, we're going to turn that on now. So you can do that as well. Other piece of news is this
SH Games in the chat. SH Games in the chat. As soon as that was enabled, he's like, "I'm gonna buy it all." So he did a video on that recently. Have you guys bought any S.C.O.R.E?
No, I'm gonna wait until I get to the when it's like
to the end.
End of August rolls around, and then I'm gonna start looking at.
Yeah, I'm the same way. I figured I'd see
This,
how far I would get before even bothering to buy, because I've been cruising along fairly well. So
yeah, this whole mechanic has actually brought me back into playing more, and I've even got my wife to jump back in. So this has been very effective at getting me to play at least more regularly in order to make sure I'm like churning out some movement along the board and unlocking stuff.
Yeah.
But I'm curious to see how far I will get, and how far I'll be away from the things that I really, really want close to the end of the board, and if I'm willing to pay the atoms for them or not. I don't know.
I'm kind of saving up atoms because it's like these packs that they've been putting out. There's like some low key item in there that's always really, really cool. So like, if you would have told me that they're releasing like a Slocum Joe's pack, I'd be like, yeah, okay, sure, yeah, whatever. I don't really want that. But then when you look at it and you're like, oh, There's a robot vendor station that has his head filled with donuts that sings a jingle.
Right.
Kind of want that.
How can you turn
I
down a
need that.
robot with donuts in its head?
Yeah. So my monthly, I really don't buy atoms outside of now that I used to, but now that we have First, I just got it for a year, right when we started this because I figured that would be a good idea. I just use those and bank them up and then wait and see and look at each, like when people get them, generally there's somebody that buys them and rolls through what each item is. And then I'm like, yeah, I kind of want that. So now I have like a few robotman donut feeders.
Robotic assistants.
Yeah, hanging out.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, your own
I'm-
personal cashies.
Like the one thing I was really excited
cashies.
for is at the end of the quest line. As soon as I saw that clue style hidden fireplace, I needed it in my life. Of course, it's the last thing.
Yeah.
Damn it.
Well, they know when they've got a good idea.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. And I'm curious how they're going to modify it because it seems like that it's like a continuing situation, a casual situation, if you will.
A casual continuing
how they're-
situation.
A continuing casual situation.
A continuing casual
Continuing
situation.
casual
yeah.
That they're kind of, I think they're really just putting this out here, making it free and figuring it out as they go, which I mean is kind of normal for a lot of the stuff that they kind of put out there that's in that live environment, I guess.
Yeah.
But so far I've enjoyed it. I thought there's like some challenges that I'm like, I don't want to do that. I don't really want to do that. But if it's like some nuclear winter challenges are pretty attainable. Like when they were doing like kill 9 monsters, I'm like, I maybe kill 2 in my total time of playing around. Because generally I just play around to get the challenges and then maybe another round if I'm feeling into it.
Yeah, the nuclear winter ones are the ones I'm least likely to do.
I like the build your camp 3 times. So I just
Yeah, that's
go in
super
and
easy.
I'm like, all right, I'm gonna play one match. I start and I'm like, camp. All right, I'm good. Let's move on. Anyways, as far as updates, there's an August 4th patch 21 that is coming out. That's the date that they have listed for when patch 21 is live. I think that is the Wendigo boss battle and the legendary perk system
It is.
the majority of that patch.
What do you guys think about the legendary perks? We haven't talked about that yet, have we?
I don't think we've really talked about that.
Not really. And to be perfectly honest, I haven't gone into PTS to take a look. I've seen what the perks are and what they were adjusted to, but I haven't played with any of them. I know a lot of them are really fairly good for melee. Anybody who's really into power armor still feels that power armor is still underpowered. I'd made a point. There's like 500 different skins for power armor, but power armor is arguably, unless you have a very specific build, it's not as powerful as it has been in previous games. Almost laughably so.
Yeah.
Like you can cruise around in your underwear with the right perks and be completely unkillable, but you get hit on by a rad roach and you go down.
Yeah, I've looked at a few of the perks. I can't remember exactly the details of them, but they seem interesting. I'm curious how those are going to fit into builds and if there's any that are that like super duper that are going to kind of spawn their own like combo with all of this different legendary effects. And if there's going to be like a new kind of a third player to the junkies and bloodied build, and what's that going to look like?
I think we're ready for a change. Bloody
it'd be nice.
And people are very creative.
I reached out to Ken. I downloaded the PTS because I was curious about in games like Elder Scrolls Online, a lot of people will use the PTS in order to get access to gear to test things out, or in the case of something like Fallout 76, the perk cards in order to try different combinations to see what kinds of stats they could create. And I was hoping something like that was available in the PTS, but it's not. if it was, then we would have potentially more creativity when it came to different builds, because it wouldn't take so long to change up a build just to have something that you realize isn't as good as the thing that you wanted before, and then you have to spend all the time to go back to the other build, or get rid of the gear that you didn't want, or change your perk cards, or your special stats, that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So I was kind of hoping there was a way to play with that a little bit and just try stuff out, but it doesn't seem like it's a thing, which I don't know.
I think they've been improving. Oh, go ahead.
Go ahead.
They've been improving.
Now we're going to copy each other.
I'm going to do that
at the end of this.
They've been slowly improving the PTS. I think the issues with the ammo converter, as an example, because that came as part of the Atomic Shop with the S.C.O.R.E system, there was no ability for people to PTS to test it beforehand, to give proper feedback. And I think Bethesda realized that now after the fact. So maybe with the next version of the PTS, stuff will be more widely available for testing than just kind of these events or singular things. It'll be more widespread.
Yeah, I hope so, especially when it comes to building. Because also, like we talked with our guests last time about building your camps and trying out things and trying to fit things into other stuff. And when it comes to having all of the materials you need to make all the stuff in order to build things, then at some point you just run out of materials, because you build stuff and then you scrap it, or you build stuff and then store it. And then you like, it'd be nice to be able to have like a playground where you can mess with stuff and then go into the real game and say, okay, this is what I want to do, because I was able to play with all the options somewhere else.
Oh, right. Like a sandbox.
Like a sandbox. Yeah. And it doesn't count because it's not the real actual game, right? It's not like, well, look what I built in the game. Well, no, you didn't, because that's the PTS, and it clearly has the PTS mark on it or whatever. Right. Like, you were creative enough to build it in the PTS. Now you actually have to grind it out and actually put the work in to do it in the real game. I could see a balance there, but I'm sure that we would end up with more creativity if people could kind of go back and forth and do a little bit of each of those. But I'm sure there's reasons for not doing that as well.
Yeah, SH Games in chat.
It's interesting how.
Oh, sorry. You had a good point.
I feel like we've got like a delay in our communications on the internet for some reason today. Like we've got more lag or something.
He's a creative mode where you can build anywhere with more budget and unlimited resources, is what you were just talking about. Yeah.
Yeah, but it doesn't last. It doesn't move progress forward. It doesn't count for, achievements. It doesn't count for, earning stuff in the game.
Right.
It's just completely self-contained.
Yeah, that's what game was it that had? Oh, it was very similar, I guess, in maybe development is No Man's Sky, because they have like the normal mode, which is like the base mode that you had when you started. Then you have, I think, survival and permadeath they added later on, which survival adds in like the hunger and different stuff, and permadeath is like, obviously it's like you have one life, and when you die, you die. But they also have the creative mode, in which a lot of people just been like flying to planets and building these gigantic cities that would be very hard to build without having to go back and find all the resources for all the different stuff. So I'm curious if that is going to develop into a mode, if like there's a creative, like,
it's a creative mode.
I think they want to. I think they creative mode. They want to do something for builders. And I'm curious how that would be multiplayer, if they're gonna like put limits on people, if it's gonna be just like larger camp areas that can be in cities,
or if it's just a Fallout first, only your personal server kind of thing, and there's the limits on what you can include, and who you can invite to it.
I'm curious to see more persistence in those private servers of what if I have a workshop that I've like decked out to defend against, whatever, whether it's Scorch Beasts or Todd Howard with a laser gun.
He's a real problem.
Yeah, I mean,
Liberty Howard.
This is Ready Player One.
Todd Prime.
Howard Prime. Yeah, there you go. He's the next. Wait, he's the next thing. Okay, so here's the future of the game. We just figured it out. The Brotherhood returns, right?
Oh,
and
no.
they construct the Howard Prime, and instead of a Scorched Beast Queen, the Howard Prime goes nuts and walks around the wasteland destroying people's camps. But it's not actually programmed into the game. It's Todd Howard himself who visits each of the servers and at some random time spawns in as Howard Prime and starts laying waste to the Appalachian wasteland.
Yeah, 6 or 7 years from now, when the game is ready to end, that's the end game. What I created, I shall destroy. He just goes server to server, destroying everybody's camps.
Destroys everything.
Killing everybody.
You have to try to mount a resistance.
That's awesome.
I'm about it.
This is my idea. Todd. My idea. TM robots.
Non-negotiable.
I will sell it. I will sell you this idea. Let's talk. All right, Dave, let's move on.
Yeah, let's move on with the news. We'll move right along here, ladies and gentlemen.
16 times.
News. 16 times. Let me get my leather coat and my fancy shoes and my just tight enough jeans and tell you, as SH Games says in the chat, 16 times the destruction. Everybody do a little golf clap. Do a little golf clap.
That was actually a pretty good impression, I have to say. You had the tonality down. It was perfect.
We both went to Virginia colleges of rapport.
Rapport.
William and Mary. That's where he went. I went to Virginia Tech, and now the accent is the same. Anyways, well, maybe not that I've lived in West Virginia for several years now. That has all changed. Moving along with our community news, Bethesda, a company of repute, has declared that they are starting a camp creation series. So you can submit your camp creations on the Bethesda forums. You can probably find the links to that in the most recent Inside the Vault.
Yep.
I think they're really wanting to showcase what people are doing in their camps outside of what people are already doing. They're like, okay, this is such a big part of our game. We want to show off that as well. So the theme this month is outer space, which fits with the legendary run. And you can submit this all the way up to July 31st and maybe get yours featured in their camp creation series.
Awesome.
I'm thinking about, I really like I really like mandalas and just the idea of sand. I'm going somewhere with this. Don't worry. Hold on to your socks. I'm going somewhere. The idea of sand and this art, and then it drifts away and you'll never see it again. So I'm thinking about maybe claiming a workshop and then doing some outer space camp at the workshop, taking some pics, and then maybe submitting it. That's what I would recommend to you. It's if you don't want to fully redo your camp, because I'm partial to my camp. My camp has a lot of different. I mean, I'm not trying to brag, but it's pretty great. At least I think so.
Yeah, I like your camp. You always do good builds.
Yeah, thanks, man. So
You're welcome. Having a moment.
Cheeks are a little red now. So that's what I would recommend if you don't want to get your camp. Is just go to a workshop and build some cool stuff there. Plus, you get extra resources. So it would be rather funny if you did that in a public server, and then logged out and somebody ran across I don't know Poseidon Energy, and there's just this UFO massive space station there, and they're like, what the hell has happened?
What is this?
What has gone on? So that's the bit of community news. The last bit of news is not from Bethesda, but I wanted to take this moment to talk about the great dupage of July 2020.
I think it's pronounced dupage. Yes. It's
Le purge du poupage.
And not the poupage. That's something different. The dupage.
Dupage.
This is no longer a casual situation. This is a formal situation.
This has become very formal. So what is the great
Ken,
dupage?
You are the gumshoe, and I mean, anytime I need something like from the underbelly of the world, like the barnacles of the boat,
anywhere at all,
and you're the guy that's going down there in your trench coat, and you're taking your Swiss Army knife to those boat barnacles and bringing back some succulent seafoodish news for them.
That's where you get seafood from?
Yeah, I'm like a problematic gaming executive in 2020. I've got hands everywhere.
That sounds terrible.
Too soon?
Too soon.
That's a good burn.
Too soon.
When this started, I mean, there's been widespread bans before, but this has clearly been one of the more heavy-handed ones that Bethesda has done. Because of the amount of duping and how easy it was to do, everyone just kind of went hog wild, which led to such a ban wave. But the responses have been a little all over the place. I think some people, and if anything, they're the ones that at least deserve some credit for owning it. Fulop admitted that, I did it. I got caught. I'll start over, or I'm going to move to a new game. So they kind of own it. And then you have the conspiracy theories, and I've got a few of those because they're strange. So there's one particular conspiracy theory that says, so I think the real reason people were banned is because Bethesda's using shell companies to sell on cash market, and we just destroyed it. They didn't go after the stack glitchers or score glitchers, only the people that did all the legacies. Now weapons that were going for hundreds of dollars go for pennies, spelled with the PENNYS. I'm off crashing servers. ZeniMax called my house for telling everyone how to crash servers in response to the recent ban wave. Stack mounted heads, it breaks their servers. And as far as TOS, well, they voided it, blah, blah, blah. So that's one theory. Another really strange theory.
Okay, wait. Before we move on,
let's unpack that one.
Bethesda has shell companies.
Yes.
What?
That are benefiting off of the market of 76.
Yeah. Right. That's. Yeah.
Okay, so
I know.
Out of curiosity for this show, first of all, I've gone to eBay and I'm like, I've heard that this stuff is getting sold on eBay. Like old World of Warcraft stuff is pretty much like any like major game trading system. Mm-hmm. You can most likely find stuff on eBay. So I was like, let me go price a Junkies explosive 25% AP handmade rifle and see what that is. And it's like $100.
Yeah, it's insane.
I don't want to do that. That's
Juicehead. Well, that's also insane. Juicehead did an expose piece last year where he talked to someone who's making like $65,000 a year on this kind of thing, and it's just very strange. I mean, you're making cash money off someone else's intellectual property, which is just about the grossest thing imaginable. I don't know.
$5,000 a year off that.
It's selling.
I guess
items,
I can watch the
you've probably figured out how to buy low and sell high.
Yeah.
And so you're just churning stuff.
I mean, they could very well be the same people duplicating stuff that are just
you're duplicating it.
Right.
You're duplicating it and then selling it out there and getting people duped items.
So, all right, here's another interesting theory. So this theory is another interesting one. With the influx of new players, the servers have been quite crowded and more unstable. Bethesda's fix for that issue became a simple one: remove some of the players. In order to do that, they needed cause. The way to get cause: intentionally introduce an exploit in order to entice the dupers to dupe. The sale on legendary script purchases that was going on during the glitch was too coincidental. It was instituted as a subtle way to encourage some to take advantage of the dupe glitch. The reasoning behind that was to encourage players to spend script on gear instead of legendary mods. With more script being spent on legendary gear would come more legendary gear in the game. Some of the gear may be worth duping to those that dupe. Essentially, the sale put more dupe-worthy items to keep players duping long enough to be. Boy, if this was a drinking game on the word dupe, I'd be in the hospital right now. Look, this game is designed
I was about
for.
to say that.
Yeah. Look, this game is designed for new players. Case in point, 80% of all enemies and activities are lower level. Bethesda has always valued new money over old. So there's a lot to unpack
this reminds
there.
me of like this reminds me of those like things you would do in the the college or high school course where it was like, here, take this concept and try to argue a thing that you don't actually believe in. Like that's what this feels like. It's like make up an argument for why this would potentially be plausible, and so you just pull something out of your butt. Like that seems like terrible business practice. That seems horrible.
I think people give tech companies in general too much.
Yes.
This stuff is not that
like
premeditated.
They're
No, it's
operating at such a high level because most of the people you see are like people from Blade Runner and like these like dystopian futures where they have like mathematically figured out all possible outcomes. It's like these tech companies just like make
none
mistakes.
Of this stuff makes sense. Like there's no chance that the risk reward like comparison here for doing something like this even plays out in any way. For a company to be like, this is what we need to do. This is the path forward. Like no, it's not. Like
I mean, even
how it works.
Like from a business standpoint, both Tom and I work in the same field. Like that kind of thing does not happen in the real world at major corporations. That's silliness.
That's bizarre. Like, companies like that are highly averse to risk. They're highly averse to extremely. And if you're going to try something even left field a little bit, it takes a lot of coaxing to get somebody to try something just a little bit off center. So no, like the reason why this happened is because they needed to flatten out the problem, and so they removed the people who were causing the problem. And the people who were just did a little bit of the dupling, they gave a temporary ban and said, slapped them on the wrist and said, don't do that anymore. That messes up that's going to mess up the game. It's going to, kill the economy and eventually kill the game. So please don't do that. Like that's the whole point. The whole point is that it messes with the balance of the game. So don't do it.
Right. And we're also talking about what people miss is they keep talking about RNG and that, the drops aren't good enough and you can't get good gear. So they serve the purpose of being able to hand out stuff to players. So it's kind of like a Robin Hood situation. Even if they are doing that, it's rationalizing still doing something that ultimately leads to the instability of the game. Some of the reasons that legendary gear have been retired from dropping is because they cause performance issues at the server level. If everyone is running around with an explosive baseball bat, a 2-shot explosive baseball bat with area effect damage and all kinds of other stuff, that makes it incredibly difficult for the servers to handle that. And I don't think, even in the early days when some of those really great weapons were dropping that had explosive effects that probably shouldn't have. I think as the game launched, they never intended those to be so easily gettable by just grinding the white spring in a circle time after time. And so they made adjustments for the stability of the game. So,
it creates an arms race too. If everybody has that item, then everyone needs that item. Now there's no variation in gameplay. Whereas if every time you get a 2 or 3 star item or whatever, it has a different variance of things, then maybe every 4th or 5th one you get, you decide to go shift your build a little bit. It creates more variance in the way you play the game.
Like I'm at the point
which is more fun and has more long lasting quality to it.
Right. Yeah. Oh, go ahead, Dave.
One of the listeners that back when we were first doing we first started it had listened to the episode we were talking about bloody builds and knew that I ran one, and so it was like, oh, I have this legacy ultrasight laser rifle that's bloodied explosive, and so like explosives, I think it's bloodied explosive 25% AP, so like they don't make explosive laser weapons anymore. So when I shoot that in the game, there's no effect on like the laser doesn't come out. The shot hits, but it's an invisible laser. So I think the server just can't handle the green laser with the explosiveness. So you can see it. It looks like you're shooting just a regular explosive rifle of any kind, and it hits right there. It's kind of cool. In all honesty, I use a bloodied explosive pipe rifle that does way better than the ultra sight laser, and is way easier to fix. So
pipe weapons don't get enough love.
I love some good pipe. Anyway,
moving on.
So all right.
Casual
I went in a
situation.
Casual situation. I went in the depths in this one, and maybe this is a testament to how stupid I really am, because I must be so stupid. Oh my god.
Where are we going with this one?
I was like,
continue.
Here we go. We're going somewhere. So I saw that this dupage was happening. I was like, you know what? I want to get this. I want to like figure this out. How do people dupe these items? So I looked up YouTube videos. I went like if I had like, what is that onion based dark web site browser header. If I had that, I would have used that. Figured out how these people were duping. Tried to do it, and for the life of me, I couldn't do it. There was like no way that I could actually duplicate anything within the game, and it didn't make any sense to me. So maybe I'm really stupid. At the end of the day, I was very glad that I was very stupid when all of these bans came out.
Yeah, you were like, dodge the bullet on that one.
Would have been bad.
Dodge the bullet on that one. That would have been very bad. So I'm very glad. My stupidity saves me a lot in real life. So I was like, oh, how does this work? What's going down? And then I found out after I tried to do this. Okay, this is working because it was connected to the vendors. I think in the game. This has been some weeks ago. It was connected to the vendors. Weeks, years, I don't know. Time is irrelevant to me anymore. So I would just wait at vendors and see what people were dropping in vendors, and sometimes I would just buy some stuff because that's what they were doing. They were dropping in the vendors, and they would just log out of the server, and it would be there. And so I would buy the thing that was in there, and so I ended up like buying. It wasn't anything that I needed, but it was just like these very good melee weapons in the vendors, and I just bought it and walked away. And so when they logged back in, they still had their original copy, but I had their duplicated copy as well.
Good on you, like, doing a public service.
And that was, I didn't like, I wasn't up for hours doing that. That was like maybe a good 20 minutes of me trying to figure all this out so I could talk about it. But turns out I'm too stupid to talk about it. I don't know how these things happen. And I work in a tech field, so I don't know what I'm doing. It's what is that? That Chris, not Chris Evans, not Chris Pine, but
Christopher.
That was in Parks and Rec.
Christopher Robin.
Christopher Robin. Anyway, that guy from Parks and Rec that plays Andy is also in the Guardians of the Galaxy. My favorite quote from him is, "I don't know what I'm doing, but." Hang on, I even fucked up that quote. I don't know what I'm doing it, but I know I'm doing it well. That's how I live my life.
Yeah, awesome. The moral of the story ultimately is there's a much better anti-cheat that they've been rolling out and have been rolling out since Wastelanders and improving each time. So they have greater control to see what's going on in order to take action. Just play the game. I don't know. There's no.
Yeah.
Just play the game.
Just play the game.
Yeah. I think there's
like honestly like
we come from a generation, I think, where it's different going from a single player experience where you can IDD QD, IDD KFA, and go become like a god of the underworld. Or even back in Nintendo using Game Genie or cheat code, the Konami cheat code and all of that kind of stuff, which is fun. But in a live service game, it's a different situation. And while there's, I think for a lot of people, it gives them a new type of challenge after completing other stuff, something to do that has a little bit of a threat and danger to it, I guess. But I don't know.
Right. I think it's like... builds constantly trying to one shot the biggest thing in the game, and that's just like not gonna happen pretty much ever. Like it's gonna take effort and time
Right.
to do that alone by yourself, even with like a really like perfect, like everything's perfectly legal build within the game. You're gonna be spending a lot of time doing that rather than just like, you know, shooting up a bunch of drugs and taking up this like crazy legendary weapon and perking out and just like holding your thumb just right to shoot off one shot that's going to do damage, but it's really not going to be effective against your higher level enemies. And everything in the game outside of the Scorched Beast Queen kind of dies in 2 or 3 shots if you're level dependent on.
Yeah, especially if you have a good optimized build.
Yeah, if you've like optimized your build and you're level 50, you're pretty much you're not going to be spending a lot of time on things. You're going to find yourself caught up in situations where it's like, I could die really easily to this. Like I could, right? Like if you go into the Watoga Tower of Tesla, just made that up, but it kind of looks like a Tesla thing.
Tower of Tesla.
Tower of Tesla. You go in there and
Tech?
you.
Where are we talking?
Nope.
Nope.
We're talking about it's not West Tech. It's the big tall tower that looks like a Tesla coil in the middle of the Watoga area. I think it's Rob.
Is it the the AMS building probably that has the lasers from hell up there? Yeah. I was in there the other night. I hate those turrets. They're as bad as the silo.
If you pop out of cover, no matter who you are, you're just dead. Like there's you can't react fast enough, and so you really have to play like kind of you are the mole in the whack-a-mole game and pop out and kind of take them out and come back down. It's interesting, like those kinds of situations. Like I feel like that everything is a lot more deadly in this series. Like things can kill you a lot faster if you're not paying attention to what's going on, but generally you can kill things pretty fast for the most part. So
there's nothing more embarrassing than being killed by a mole rat, especially when you run a bloodied build. If I happen to be looking at my Pip-Boy the other night,
something sneezes on
a goddamn mole rat brood mother chewed on my leg, and I immediately died. And a bunch of people in the chat can attest to the fact that every time we play on a Friday night, it's how many times did Ken die? I mean, I have fairly good gear, but half the fun for me is the challenge of it being a challenge as opposed to just being able to cruise through the server and just blow everything up. Because, you have impossible weapons or a weapon that has been manufactured by nefarious means. I don't know. Play the game. Just play the game.
Just play the game.
Like you're gonna get. There's a lot of good weapons. Like in all seriousness, you can go and fight the Scorched Beast with a Gatling plasma.
Oh yeah.
As long as you're in a team of 4 and do wonderful, glorious damage to that.
Or a big pipe.
Just get a really big pipe.
Really big pipe.
And lay it.
Yeah, just lay some pipe.
Pipe is life.
Well, how about we move on to a mode where you don't dupe things? Is that a good transition?
We can try.
There is no duping.
There's no duping
in this world.
In Nuclear Winter.
Would be good.
So we have the top 10. Well, that's not really a top 10. The 10 commandments of Nuclear Winter for our Fallout 101 section.
Yes.
And Dave has put these together, and I've volunteered to use my Moses voice.
Yeah, you're gonna be God from on high, and I'm gonna be like the little dude that runs around that's like, listen to the Lord, kind of thing from the Old Testament.
Right.
Can I be Charlton Heston?
Here we go. I guess we're counting down from 10 to 1, or does it matter?
If you're in Planet of the Apes.
Goddamn apes!
These are in no particular order. I will say.
We'll start with number 4. Number 4. Spawn with your team.
Yes.
So this is the most, I guess, the easiest tip that I can give if you want to survive you gotta spawn with your team. You can't just like be in the team and spawn out over the hill. You're going to probably get killed unless you're very, very lucky. And even then, at the end of the game, when there's like teams of 2 or 3 that are probably still left, if there's a team of 4 in the top 10, generally they're going to be people coming out on top. You aren't going to be coming out on top.
Yeah, this is just smart. If you've played any multiplayer shooter ever, and you stay with your team, and then you have more people with guns shooting at other people with guns, if there's more of you, then you have more of a chance to survive and kill them before they kill you. So stay close together. That's basically it, right?
Right.
And while we're doing these, I wanna shout out to the chat since the benefits of doing the live show, and see if they have any tips for Nuclear Winter, and we can
Thank you,
we can
Thrive.
read some of those off too.
Yeah. All right, next one.
Spawn with your team.
Next one. Number 2. Use a shrubbery. Or bring us a shrubbery.
So bring us a shrubbery.
Bring us your shrubbery.
So it's important. I think. I mean, Fortnite has some stuff that goes with it. I'm kind of, going through these battle royales where it's like, okay, you can hide in trees and grass and bushes in most of the battle royale games, but in this one in particular, the vegetation is so thick because the maps are in the forest that it's like you can legitimately hide and not be seen whatsoever if you're crouched.
The amount of visual
as long as you're not wearing power armor.
The amount of visual data in a scene in Nuclear Winter is so dense that sometimes you just don't see somebody until they're on you, and like you use that to your advantage.
Yes.
Yeah. The when I was grinding it for S.C.O.R.E, I was in a bush, and someone didn't even see me, got into the same bush, and had their back to me.
You guys were bush buddies.
So that was an easy kill.
Yeah, bush babies.
Bush baby buddies.
Bush
you had a casual situation in a bush.
Dreams come true. Yeah.
Yeah. That's a whole other thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, moving on. Number 7. Scorched Beast appears at 10 people left.
So this is a good tip if you're the final 10. Final 10, congratulations. That means that you've probably done a lot of stuff right. The Scorched Beast is both a boon and a terrible thing at the same time, because it could lock onto you, and once it's locked onto you, it's going to come after you, and not only are you going to get damaged, everyone's going to know where you are.
She's going to scream you into next
Other end
week.
of that, she will. And the other end of that is, if you aren't locked on by it, you can find out where people are with the Scorched Beast. So generally, they're getting hit. If it's a large team, they're out in the open, they're more likely to get targeted by the Scorched Beast. And they're going to be focusing their fire on like shutting her up so that they can move, I guess, with a little more discretion. That's going to give you some valuable intel when you're in the game.
Yeah.
Amen, brother. All right, next one. Number 3, Sneak is King.
Okay, so did we ever play that Burger King game?
Sneaking? No, I didn't. I saw it. I didn't play it.
I didn't play it either. But it seems like a delightful game in which you probably use some of the same mechanics when you're playing Nuclear Winter. So here's the thing: a lot of people think if I move slower in Nuclear Winter, like if I'm crouched and I'm moving, that people are going to more easily spot me. Here's the thing: if you're running at the same place, people are going to spot you faster, because that registers more in people's peripherals, like that faster movement where you got kind of trees swaying and fire slowly like brimming on the outskirts of everything. You're having a lot slower movement, and so just like crouching and walking in an area is typically better. Unless, of course, the only time that this isn't a great idea is when somebody's attacking you. That's when you just need to run. Just run.
Yeah, cover your butt.
Let's sneak away. Yeah.
Yeah, Trizzle Plays
Sneaking away
2
from
in chat says sneak and serpentine. Sneak and serpentine.
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 Another thing a lot of people have been doing, and I forgot to add this. This kind of attach on to movement particularly, is a lot of people have been doing that old school Halo thing of when a gunfight starts in a very like small area, everybody just starts jumping, and everybody's jumping around. Well, I'm jumping, you're jumping, and everybody's jumping because that you got to kind of follow people up and down, and then it just becomes a game of rabbits with guns. So a good way to avoid fire is by jumping very high. That doesn't work in real life.
Doesn't work in real life.
I've tried.
All right.
No.
Next one. Number 9, ride the storm.
So if you're trying to be a little strategic and mitigate your risk, you two work at a company, you probably talk about risk mitigation all the time. A good idea is to quote unquote ride the storm. So if you keep the storm at the back of you, unless that storm is moving or it's closing in or there's like the random chance of somebody being right behind you, you can pretty much say, okay, that area is safe because I know nobody wants to be in that area. Nobody's gonna be in that area. And so if you just kind of keep on the edge of the storm and move in, most of the time you're gonna last a lot longer. The only thing is there's a risk reward to that because the storm moves a little bit faster in some areas than you can run and run out of AP and back and forth. So you kind of need to manage that with your map as well.
Yeah, it limits the potential danger area from other players.
Right.
Yeah. Yep. All right. I'm starting to forget what numbers I've used. Number 5, check the elevation data.
So what are the tips? And let's talk about maps because you two marketing professionals, you over here, I'm the geographer, I'm the cartographer. When you're playing Halo at the beach, who do you go find when you're trying to infiltrate this massive complex? You go find the cartographer. Now, who is that?
Halo
it's
at
like
the
a little
beach?
ball in the sky. Yeah, you got a Halo 1. Come on, we're rolling past.
Like physical, like live, actual world beach? Right around.
Yeah, when you're at the beach and you've brought your Xbox and you're playing Halo in a LAN party, and you go to find the cartographer. Anyways, so check your elevation data essentially means if you aren't familiar with the map and really how it goes, you can pull up in your map, and one thing that it'll have are these like darker areas. They kind of go, I guess, a lot darker brown areas, and that'll tell you if there's a mountain there. I wrote in here, Appalachia is a mountain range, so that'll tell you when the mountains are coming up if you're looking at planning your route. And mountains will slow you down and also be kind of a pain to go up, and it's a lot riskier to go up a mountain than it is to go down a mountain. Generally in this game, elevation, whoever has higher elevation is the winner. This is not episode 3 of Star Wars. It is true that you do have the higher ground when you're playing this game. So make sure to look at your map and look for the darkened areas. And if you can get on top of a mountain at the end of the game, that's an excellent spot to be. Although I did get killed going down a mountain, and I had a team of 4 and jumped down into a ravine, and there was 3 people sitting in the ravine that were just waiting on us to jump down there. And I got a little too excited.
You know why I don't like beaches? The sand. It's just
God damn it, Tom. I knew that was coming.
Number 8. Perk cards.
I forgot to write this one in a fun commandment way. So yes, the commandment is perk cards. This is just a general tip: is don't forget to equip these. Oftentimes when you're playing, the different thing I think from this battle royale, as opposed to others, are your unique skills that are tied to your adventure character. So don't forget to go through and equip some perk cards, try out some different ones, see what you like. I'm still figuring out which ones I like and which ones I don't like. Also, if you have leveled up, so like if you are, I think I'm level 208. And so for each level, you get a perk card pack.
There you go.
Thank you. For each level, I get a perk card pack, and so I have all of the perk cards because I got a bunch of duplicates, and then when you get duplicates, they give you points for that, and then you use your point. There's like a system. You'll figure it out. If you have a high level character, though, you can have all of your perk cards. It's affected by your strength, your special, not just your strength, but your entire special, what you can and can't equip. So don't forget about it, because that's important. That helps you out.
Number 6. Use chems.
This is the point where God is telling you to do drugs. This is a wild time that we live in. 2020.
Well, it's 2020.
Crazy.
Wow.
That's true. So in this game, if you see some drugs, here's my advice. Just take them. Don't even think about it. Just take them, because you don't know. Drugs last for 2 minutes in the game, but most of them do, at least. In that 2 minutes, like, that is a huge amount of time within the game. So if you have them, you take them. As my dad would say, smoke them if you got them.
Mr. T also says, take the drugs, stay out of school.
I like that.
Does he say that?
I think so. Maybe I got that wrong.
Huh.
The Mr. T cartoon was a long time ago.
Yeah. Huh. All right.
In the normal game, I'm not like, unless I'm like prepping up, unless I'm like trying to Witcher myself in a drunken alchemical haze, I'm not taking any chems. But in Nuclear Winter, it's just like I'm a constant animal of consuming everything around me, and so except for I kind of save my stim packs, but outside of that, I just pop drugs constantly. Anything I can take, I take it. In real life too. No, I'm kidding. I do not. That's why.
Don't do drugs. Drugs are bad. All right. Next one.
Number 1. Uh-oh. Prepare for nuke.
Whoa, I don't know what happened there.
That was quite something. So one of the unique things with this mode is people can launch nuclear weapons. So when a nuke is launched, you need to look at your map immediately. Like it is like when you're on fire, you got to stop, drop, and roll. This is like a key resource. Look at your map, figure out where you are, and look to see and make sure that you are out of the nuke's spray area. Now, here's the thing. You're probably, I would say 50% of the time, you're going to look at your map and the nuke is going to be the entirety of the area. You are more likely to survive in the fire zone than you are in the nuclear fire zone. Nuclear fire will kill you.
That's like double fire.
On impact of the bomb and also the radiation damage, but the fire that actually closes in from the nuclear winter, the fire is actually a better place for you to be. So if you're looking at last minute situations, casual situations, it's supposed to go.
Paladin in chat, we got a couple of expert people who play it quite a lot, had also said, find a nuclear briefcase, nuke everyone at the last circle, just hide in a bush and wait, which is also a good tip.
I like that.
And just the tip. Number. Are we ready for the next one?
I'm just looking at all these other wonderful tips in our chat, like loot creatures and petrified corpses for extra loot. That's from Paladin.
Yep.
Doomsday 76 says always have a secondary and a backup to that secondary as well.
That would be called a tertiary.
Awkward silence.
All right, we've got one more on the list.
Let's go.
We do, and it's the most important. It is the most important.
Number 27.5. Sharing is caring.
So this is a common thing, and this is the thing I get most. Here's the thing. I fancy myself a nice guy. Put on my fedora, do a little wink, and say "milady" because I'm such a nice guy.
I fancy you a fancy guy.
I fancy myself. Anyways, you don't need
a fancy
more
lad.
Than 4 weapons.
Sorry, go on.
You don't need more than 4 weapons.
Let's just keep on talking over him as soon as he tries to talk.
You do not need 4 or more weapons in this mode. You're not going to use them. There's no way that you're going to use 4 weapons. You're not going to be in a combat encounter and be like, oh, it's time to, oh, he's really made me angry. I'm going to pull out my Tesla rifle. Like, you're not going to, and I can do that accent because that's not culturally insensitive of me because I'm from here. So
that's my real voice.
That's my real voice, folks. So what you can do is generally, if you're with your team, if you followed all the rules up until now, motion for your team to come over. I like to do the follow me emote and then go through your inventory. I'll just like pick up everything. I'm a constant consumer. Go through your inventory, do a little bit of management. It will help your weight and get down some of those weapons that you don't want and drop them and drop your ammo that goes to those weapons. And you don't need 20 stim packs. You probably just need like 5. So you don't like, you're not, most of the time the encounters are going to be you either live or you die. Nobody walks away from an encounter hurt that often.
Well, maybe emotionally.
Probably more emotionally.
More emotionally. Like when the guy's doing the teabag thing over your corpse.
That's probably true.
Yeah.
Although I don't think people have time to do that. There's a lot of variables going on here. But sharing is always important, and make sure to do that with your team because your survival is dependent upon your team. And I believe let me recheck with the Lord above and see if that's all of the commandments that He has given to me.
Yes. That was very direct. That was very clear. You're welcome.
Rarely are his messages so direct.
Why do you keep yelling though? It's the only way I can speak. Okay, all right. That seems weird that you're limited that way, but okay.
I'm very impressed that in this vault that we are in, that we have a direct connection to the Lord. I'm not sure what kind of Lord He is, but
it's best not to ask.
It's best not to ask, I suppose.
Oh, there's Cthulhu. I think 2020 is complete.
All right. Anyway, so thank you for that, Dave. And let's move on to, we've got an Abraxo box this episode as well. Hoo boy. Who wants to read this one?
Before we get started, anybody, let's take it. I will say that I am now starting a new in which I am. If you ever watched The Good Place, when they can't curse in The Good Place, it's an NBC show comedy. So I have taken out all of the curse words and have added them in with fake curse words, which I think are more comedic. Because here's the secret of these: these are edited because people don't speak no good or can't write no good. And so I go back and I edit them. I've given them the best edit that they can possibly have. So let everybody know.
All right. So who wants to read it? Any takers? Chat?
Either of you.
Should we let chat choose? Either of you? I can read it. I haven't read one of these in a while. I haven't read this one ahead of time. You want me to do it?
You can do it. Yeah.
All right. Here we go.
Yeah, you can do it.
Here we go. I'm up on my boxes.
Here he goes.
All right, here we go. Here we go. I finally decided to quit the game tonight. I made 4 characters with a combined 500 plus levels. I don't know how many hours. Didn't check. I didn't want to hear stuff like, just leave. Who gives a poo? Why you gotta come on here spitting vitriol. Bye. Yeah, fair enough. Don't read this. I didn't quit because of the bugs or the duping or the lack of endgame. I quit because I realized I was being manipulated into staying. The game's current model is designed to give you anxiety about not logging on every day for fear that you might miss some dailies and not get your fudge knocking sheep squatch plushie or gobsmacked raiders hanging tree or whatever 1 or 2 things you actually wanted from, quote, the legendary run. Man, I got a family, a kid, 2 years old. I got a few hours a night to play games. Don't flob and guilt me into playing on your terms like some FTP mobile bull spittle. I'm angry because I love the franchise. love the Fallout 76 world. It's a beautiful place full of so much potential, and it's a fun place to be. And breakups are hard, man. Anyway, I'm reinstalling Fallout 4. Gonna mod the shoot out of it and do another survival playthrough. You didn't edit all the words out of this one.
Okay, so maybe
that's it.
my mind thinks that shit is not a bad word, but I suppose that
Can you
would be
say
a
it
bad word.
on NBC? I'm not sure.
Replace it with peking ravioli.
I don't know. Peking ravioli. Yes.
Peking. Okay.
I'm tired of this Peking ravioli.
Yeah, I'll do that last sentence again. Anyways, I'm reinstalling Fallout 4. Gonna mod the Peking ravioli out of it and do another survival playthrough.
Yeah,
I
like it.
All right. It's good. It's good.
Sounds like a cuss word that Robert, whatever his name was, Robert Goulier or whatever, that Will Ferrell character.
Robert Goulet. Boo, 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 boo.
Peking ravioli.
Peking ravioli. I'm Robert Goulet.
So this brings up a good point. You know, like all of ours, there's a lesson to be. Do you feel like that does this game give you all any anxiety, or do you think the systems implemented give you all anxiety to log on and do stuff for more than a few hours a night?
Maybe on a very, very small level of like, I just won't get that item that I wanted if I don't grind it out enough. But like, it's not keeping me up at night. And it's kind of something fun to look forward to, so it kind of balances out. I don't know that anxiety is the word I would use. And I have like, maybe the best explanation for me would be, I have a limited amount of concern that I might need to fork over a few bucks for some extra atoms to get that really cool, fancy looking power armor at the end of the gameplay, board. If I don't
at the
grind
end
it
of Flash Gordon's digital hell.
But at the end of the day, like if that cost me $5 or $10 worth of atoms, as opposed to 60 hours of grinding, then I should probably be using that 60 hours of grinding to earn way more than $5 or $10. I don't know. Like, it's like, I don't know. It's a game. It's still a game at the end of the day.
I haven't run in like, as somebody who uses Fallout first, and I kind of think is the base level for people that are fortunate enough to, first of all, to have money, but second of all, to kind of have that base level of what the typical person would be purchasing as far as atoms wise. I really haven't gotten to the point where I'm like, and maybe I'm just not as into the like 50 space aesthetic. Like that's not as interesting to me. And so,
but if you really, really were into it, wouldn't you want to just spend money for it anyway? If you didn't grind it, wouldn't you feel more okay with spending extra for the thing you really wanted?
Yeah.
At the end of the day, like if there's a really freaking cool skin on there and there's some really cool stuff at the end of the board and I want it for my camp and for my character build, I'd pay $15 for that. And I'm not saying this from the standpoint of like, I've got all the money in the world, so whatever, charge me money. I'm saying that from like a, like if you value it that much, instead of putting $15 into some other game that came out that you want to play, or heck, like $15, like just don't go get coffee for a few days. Like we spend so much money on the crap that we just don't need all the time, that you could take it from something else that you would have blown your money on anyway.
I have to be honest about something. I agree with this man.
Yeah.
In order to explain, I have to take you back.
Where's you going? You moved the
carpet is off.
Oh wow!
Oh my god! Oh my!
Who is this? This is a different person.
No.
Wait,
it's still me. This is still me.
I wanted to
Ken.
describe.
Okay,
Ken is now wearing the carpet on the back of his head, wrapped around him like a shawl, like he is a
Speak
withered old Russian lady
with no glasses. I think he's a prophet or something. Go on.
picture it. It was 3 years ago this September. A new cafe had opened in town. It was called the Daily Cup. Oh, and it was a Daily Cup. Every day I would go to that Daily Cup. Because the first day she looked at me and said, "What would you like, dear?" And I got something delightful. And do you know what she gave me? She gave me a card. And it wasn't just any card. Oh, no. It was punched with a star. And she told me, she said, on the 12th day, that beverage, that creamy, delicious, delightful beverage, it's going to be yours for free. Well, I went back to my bed.
Wait, you
And
got
that-
coffee in the morning and then went back to sleep? Sorry, I'm sorry. Go on.
Speak not during my story. I needed to complete that card. So I went back. I went back that same day, and I had another delicious beverage. And another. Until that card was talking to me, spiting me, spitting at me, taunting me. That 12th space. Well, after an extended period of time in the restroom from drinking 11 cups of that delicious beverage,
I thought maybe this is where this was going.
I returned to that cafe. And do you know what she said to me? We're closed for today.
We need to take you to the hospital.
It was raining. But it was also raining in my heart. I feel for this man. Goals are bullshit. We must have things that are attainable. Things that do not taunt us. The Daily Cup is no more, but it haunts me still. End scene.
I mean, wow. That's amazing.
That was
All
that
right,
was
so
that was
when
an
we
epic.
get the Oscar forms, we'll fill that out and we'll send you in. I'm not sure what kind of character that is, but we'll definitely put you in for best supporting actor on a daytime TV show.
You know what's great about doing this live on Twitch? Hey chat, somebody needs to clip that and just spread it all over the internet right now. Just put it everywhere.
worth it.
Everywhere. Just highlight, clip it, whatever the words are that you use for this stuff. Get it all over the internet.
It's not that threatening. You don't
at the end of the day,
have to earn it. It's a goal. Either accomplish it or
goal,
don't.
right.
You're fine.
It's fun.
We're all
It's
fine.
and
This is fine.
And if you value it enough, then spend some money on it.
Yeah.
Like, maybe don't go out to lunch and make a sandwich. Save a few bucks. Spend it on the thing you want.
And you can look like it's not like nobody looks cool with the stuff that's already in the game. That's my thing with cosmetics. It's like you can have stuff like a really cool in-universe, like high, like a perceived experienced character, with just stuff that you can get playing even the main quest.
Yeah.
Like,
when we're having anxiety over cosmetics and not like pay to win mechanics, like. What world is this? What world is this?
The Kardashian makeup gives me anxiety. It's cosmetic.
It also gives me acne. The
True.
The thing that I'm curious about as far as metrics is I wonder how successful the scrap kits and repair kits have been as opposed to actual cosmetic items. I'm led to believe that the cosmetic items are way more successful than the scrap and repair kits, because I've
yet
never,
to use a scrap and repair kit. I still haven't used one.
Oh, I used them.
I've never used a scrap kit. I've used a
Yeah.
repair kit, but that's just because I've had it and I'm like, do I want to go back on repair kit?
Let's see some acting from Dave. Let's see emo Dave.
Yeah.
I don't have a thing to put on my head. I can't do the acting.
Okay.
So,
we need.
I mean,
Oh no!
There you go. Yes.
Oh no,
You
Dave.
got the swoop.
how tough it was. Do I want to go
no.
home and scrap my items, or do I really just want to use my kit that I have? I got my kit backstage from Tom DeLonge. He gave it to me, and I really just would rather use that than going all the way home. You know.
I just, sometimes I just gotta listen to MCR just a little bit longer, and I don't have the time to go back to the camp.
Yeah.
On a side note, Black Parade is probably top 10 albums of all time, and then you can
Good call.
fight me in my PacSun women's size 7 jeans with my straightened gelled hair from 10 years, 20, no, 10 years ago. How old am I? 10, no, 12.
Dave's doing a whole thing there.
That was like
you can fight me. You can fight me on that, and you can fight me on this old house. This is where I take my stand. I don't have anywhere else to stand. This is where I stand. Take my stand. Anyway, I'm curious. Do you think that cosmetics sell better than the repair kits, scrap kits?
Yes.
So oddly enough, I remember, and I can't remember where it was quoted, that scrap kits and repair kits were some of the Atomic Shop's biggest sellers. Now that may have changed since then. To me, I read that, so I got to find that again, because as soon as I read that, and it was posted officially somewhere.
Was that before? When did they come out compared to Fallout First? Because if you can just store all your junk, then you always have junk to repair stuff with.
Yeah, that's a very good point. But I thought that when I was like, really? Because I would have thought, cosmetics would have been better sellers, but I can't imagine buying scrap or repair kits unless maybe more people than I know of just never had enough junk, and maybe they just spent money on that. But I don't know anybody who've ever bought them in the Atomic Shop. Lord knows I haven't.
And I feel like there's a natural ebb and flow to like when you go grocery shopping, you go out into the world, you go down the aisles that you want, you know what you're looking for, you know stuff that you want to stock up on pretty much every time. And then you get to take that home and carry it all in one big load locked across your arms like you're some sort of superhuman suburban household god.
One trip. One trip. That's only one trip. Yeah.
And that's kind of like the weird like stages to this game is like I'll go to my camp and I'll start at my camp and be like, okay, here's where I'm at. What am I gonna do today? And then I'll go out and do things. Generally, I'll return to my camp, drop off some stuff, repair my items, and that's before I log out. Or maybe I'm playing longer and it's like I've got to make a pit stop. But that's kind of like I really treat that like this is my base of operations. Like I need to make sure I go back here all the time and do that. And oftentimes, even when I'm over encumbered and I have stuff that I want to like take back, it's just fun to walk it, Yeah. Like, my dad drives a golf cart all the time, but sometimes he's like, it's just fun to walk 9 holes, It's just there's an element to that where it's like you don't know what you'll get into. You can just like enjoy the nature. Now you may not have time for all that, and you may be in a sticky situation where it's like I need to scrap. I have like the 30 microscopes that I have hauling around. I need to use a magical box that can break those down into usable items for a post-apocalyptic world. So I get that, but
fair points.
I'm curious. I'm curious of what all that. That's kind of a tangent off of the anxiety. I don't feel any anxiety. I don't feel anxiety about anything except for the world around us, which gives me a lot of freaking anxiety.
Yeah, and you know what?
When there are way more legitimate things to be worried about, this is not on the top of the list.
Anxiety, and no joke, mental health is a major issue in this country, and a lot of people struggle with generalized anxiety disorder. But, I mean, there are things that you should be anxious about. This is the least important of them right now. So
right. Yeah, very much so. If you do have like you're saying, if you feel like things like this are affecting you on a way way larger amount than they should, then probably talk to a professional, because maybe you do actually have some sort of something that could be addressed by a professional and help balance your life out.
Yeah, and
Just take a break.
that's the other point too. I'm familiar with the disorder, working with someone who has it, that you have to avoid triggers. If you find yourself being triggered by the S.C.O.R.E system and it's triggering your anxiety in a major way, then you need to step back for a little bit and talk to someone about it. But you have to
Right.
take the trigger element away, because it's not helping you right now, especially if it's
Right,
affecting your
right.
regular life.
It's not the game, it's anything that is going to take that place
Right.
of the game is going
Right.
to trigger you. So
Yeah.
yeah, you need to address it. Yeah.
Wait, when Division 1 first came out, they had that dark zone element in which it was like PvP and it was like no hold bar. Like they could be anywhere. The enemy could be anywhere. And I got really into that, but that mode gave me a ton of anxiety and just like had me sweating. And I was like, this is like, I played it for a little bit. And I was like, this is just, it's too much. It's too much for me. And like,
Yeah,
I don't
that
know.
mode
Like,
was intense. That was
Yeah.
intense.
I play competitive like games, like I play Nuclear Winter, and I'm like, oh, doing this or that. But that mode gave me a lot of real anxiety, because I'm not sure why, and so I decided to never pay attention to that mode ever again.
Yeah. All right, guys. Well, this seems like a good place to wrap up the episode. I don't know if we have any other things we want to add on to this. I think we're pretty good.
I think we're good.
I feel great.
Yeah. So, what things do you guys want to leave people with? Do you have any other side projects or any things you want to rep or talk about before we head out? You're like, what can I say?
I will be able to share something cool eventually. In the meanwhile, what I am excited about is we're gearing up for season 2. We're going to be dropping a lot of teaser content for our season 2 opener within the next. Within the next few weeks for the season 2 opener for Chat of Fallout 76 story, which I'm really excited about. So we've got some fun prequel stuff coming in there. Our season 2 opener, we'll see the return of Sickleman. So we're slowly teasing a little bit of that. We had some character work done for some new people that will be joining us this season. That will be notable names in the Fallout community that we actually have character concepts for. So I'm excited about revealing who those people will be when the time is right.
Cool. Very cool.
Barbara Streisand, as you told me. Oh wait, I'm not supposed to say Barbara Streisand.
Uh-oh. We're gonna have to edit that out. Oh no, we're live. Oh no. All right, Dave, you got anything to rep? Anything going on?
I'm working on a bunch. It's a constant stream of work and doing a number of different things. That I don't like to talk about anything until it's done. Until it's like time to talk about stuff. But I'm working on a bunch of different stuff. Side note on today, we all three, I want to congratulate on us all doing our own little characters today. We like all came out with like a nice character performance out of this day. Tom as Lord, Ken as
Stregonona.
The Lord. Which Lord we're still not sure, but the Lord.
Yeah, the Babushka coffee shop grinder, and me as the Tom DeLong's #1
Emo Tom.
scrap repair kit fan.
Mm-hmm.
I want to congratulate us all on that. But you can find me on Twitter at Dave CHAFINZ places, and you'll all see eventually. You'll see.
You'll see.
One of these days,
You'll see what
all
I'm working
that
on.
sounds ominous.
One of these days.
You'll all
One of
see.
these days. So I had the just actually like 4 hours ago now. I had the pleasure of talking with Mr. Juicehead again on the Fallout Lorecast. I interviewed him and we talked about some cool stuff coming to 76 around things like the Brotherhood and leaks and stuff. Some of the data mine stuff, at least that we are aware of. So if you want to check that out, Fallout Lorecast, the episode should be up tonight. If you're live, if you're listening to the recorded version of this, it's probably already up. And in other news, speaking about the nature of the world, I've decided that for starting now and then all the way through at least the election, that every time I stream on Twitch, I will be doing a charity stream. So any donations, any bits, any subscriptions, any of that stuff on the Robots Radio Twitch channel, so twitch.tv/robotsradio, will be going to represent.us in order to fight corruption in the government, which I think is absolutely important. And I think it's something that everybody on whatever side of the aisle you're on, conservative, liberal, Democrat, Republican, everyone can agree or should be able to agree that corruption in the government is a bad thing and that we should have the ability to represent the people's will, whatever the people vote for, and that's the way things should work.
Yeah, and to be clear, there's corruption on both sides of the aisle.
Yes,
it's a real problem in government, regardless of the side.
It is a real problem. So if we could get rid of the corruption part, then we could actually talk about the issues, and then votes would actually count correctly, and all of that stuff. And representatives would do what they're supposed to do, which is the will of the people, which
serve our
would be
interests.
awesome.
Yeah,
regardless of what side of the aisle you're on, if you're in the majority, you should get what you want your representatives to do. So anyway, tune into twitch.tv/robotsradio for my Twitch streams, and that's all the stuff I've got going on. That's new. So thank you for tuning in again. And from the three of us and chat, who's here with us, thank you for tuning in also. We'll see you guys next time. Same bat time, same bat channel. So this is Tuesdays at 5 p.m. Eastern, 2 p.m. Pacific that we start, if we can start on time. And we'll look forward to it. See you guys in the future. Have a good one.
Good night,
Bye,
everybody.
everybody.